Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, December 16. In a bid to curtail the rising COVID-19 cases in Westmoreland, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced tighter containment measures for the parish. For the next 2 weeks, nightly curfews will start at 7 p.m. and end at 5 a.m. the next day. Public gathering has been reduced to 10 persons, with burials remaining at 15 persons. Additionally, no grand market will be permitted for the parish. In Parliament Tuesday, Mr. Holness said Westmoreland had 117 active COVID cases, 76 of them confirmed as new cases in the past week.
These cases are spread over 80% of the communities in the parish, so that this is widespread. Madam Speaker, the parish recorded a test positivity rate of 32.1% last week, compared to 17.6% the week before. This means that approximately 1 out of every 3 persons tested were positive for the coronavirus. This is over 3 times the national positivity rate of 9.3% for that week.
Prime Minister Holness says 15 of 18 COVID beds at the Savannah Lamar Hospital are now occupied, with overall bed usage at the facility being at 87%. At the same time, he says there is currently an 80 to 90% bed occupancy at the 4 Western regional hospitals.
These troubling trends and the strain on the health system requires immediate action to mitigate the real harm that can occur. I'm making a special appeal for strict observance of all the protocols and measures, and for everyone, particularly those residents of Westmoreland and Hanover, to exercise greater vigilance and restraint.
Mr. Holness says the Ministry of Health will continue to monitor the numbers closely, and if the situation escalates, the measures will be further tightened. Meanwhile, the country's overall COVID-19 cases as at December 14 stood at 11,875. Of that number, 3,234 are active cases, with 8,212 recoveries. Data from the Ministry of Health recorded 3 more deaths, pushing the total to 276. 103 persons were hospitalized, with 21 moderately ill and 17 listed as being critical. Prime Minister Holness says data from the ministry has indicated an upward turn in the epidemiology curve. This, he says, is an earlier acceleration than the December 15 projection for increase in cases, following the return of Jamaicans from overseas after the Thanksgiving period. Government has committed to having every household in the island accessing the internet by 2025. Science and Technology Minister Darrell Vaz told Parliament Tuesday that expanding broadband coverage access across the island was the single most critical imperative facing the country. He said the provision of internet as a public good would form the backbone of the island's post-COVID-19 recovery plan.
The National Information and Communications Technology (ICT) policy positions ICT infrastructure as a strategic resource, the efficient deployment of which is important for the provision of public and private services and access to worldwide markets. This therefore requires the provision of high-capacity networks.
Minister Vaz says current fixed broadband penetration stands at 11.65%, while mobile penetration is at 59.76%. Distribution, however, is skewed to urban areas, with the rural population being unserved or underserved. Mr. Vaz says a national broadband task force has been formed, a broadband strategy is being collated, and a core technical task force formed to drive the implementation of the network. The communities of Denham Town and Tivoli Gardens have seen a high success rate for referral cases through the Ministry of Justice's Alternative Dispute Resolution ADR program for this year. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says 81 restorative justice conferences were held this year in Denham Town, with 73 of those cases being resolved peacefully. 123 were held in Tivoli Gardens, with 112 peaceful settlements. He says the ministry's use of alternative dispute resolution has also been successful elsewhere, with 1,435 cases in all other parishes this year being referred to ADR and almost 1,100 being settled peacefully.
We want to let Jamaica know that ADR must be a vital, focal priority of resolving disputes in the communities, reducing the burden on the courts, reducing the challenges to the police, and ensuring that when people get into conflict, they resolve their conflicts without resort to abuses, to violence, and oftentimes to death.
The minister was speaking at a recent Access Justice Live virtual town hall meeting. Thousands of Jamaicans employed in the hospitality division of passenger ships are to benefit from enhanced rights protection under the Shipping Amendment Act, which has now been passed by the Senate with 2 amendments. The bill was previously approved by the House of Representatives on November 17 and will now go back to the lower house to ratify the Senate's amendments. Under the new legislation, a wider definition of seafarer has been approved to cover any person engaged by or on behalf of the owner of a ship, including hospitality workers. Leader of Government Business in the Upper House, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, says under the existing Shipping Act, only the crew who are responsible for navigating vessels are accorded certain rights.
Clearly, a situation in which one set of employees have a right and others do not is not an enabling environment. And this bill seeks to make better provisions for the maintenance of standards and behaviors within the shipping industry, nationally and internationally, promoting respect for the dignity of each person, notwithstanding the role they perform on a ship.
The amendments to the bill include ensuring that those under age 18 are not assigned to engage in dangerous work without proper supervision, allowing for the free provision of water for seafarers, and making ship owners liable for medical care and burial expenses for seafarers. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.